So it's Saturday evening in Bond Square. There's the our little gazebo in the background. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening to young people. We've had a few people come up to us over the past couple of weeks. One lad was 16 and he's in high school, and he was telling us about what's been going on in there. And he said that, when they go into school, they all have to wear masks in all the communal areas, in the corridors, and all parts of the school. And then when they go into the class, we say 30 of them, they can take them off, but still some children don't. And I said, well, why is that? Why did they not take them off? He said, well, they think. I said, do they think they're protecting people? And he said, well, they say they are, but he says they think they're still scared. Now, at the front of the class, when they're allowed to take the mask off, the teacher's allowed to be without a mask if they stay within a taped box area at the front. And if the teacher steps out of that taped box area, they have to then put a mask on to interact with the children. So what tends to happen is the teachers in the main stay in the box and don't really come over and deal with the students' work at the desks and so on. He also said about the desk that if you chuck your books onto the desks or your laptop or whatever it is they bring with them, they will slide like they're on ice because the desks are so heavily sanitized and sprayed with whatever disinfectant the janitors are using. He also said something about there being behavior monitors in the school, which is a term that I wasn't familiar with because your teachers used to be behavior monitors where I was there. But I don't know if that's necessarily COVID related. It was just an interesting little aside. And he said that he was doing a lot of math subjects, and that those math subjects required a lot of working out, so they don't tend to hand in the homework over like the internet or do that homework on the computers. But it meant that none of his homework was getting marked because the teachers couldn't actually handle their exercise books. So the teachers were marking the books because either their unions had told them, or for whatever reason they weren't touching the exercise books because they feel that they might be infected, right? But then there was another lad who come down here who spoke to us. He was a smaller guy, but he was like he's also 16, and he was in a school slightly outside of Oxford, and he spoke really well. It's like a little, like some of these guys are like adults. They weren't like me. I was like, I don't know, when you was a teenager, like speaking like this. This guy was like really articulate and eloquent and sort of measured in his approach, and he was discussing things. And one of the crazy things he told me was that he plays for a soccer team, a football team, and it's I guess Sunday league or Saturday league team. So it wasn't to do with the school, but they were allowed to do training as long as they didn't use goalposts. And he said that instruction had come down from the top of the football association, so that boys teams were allowed to play as long as they didn't set up goalposts. So I said, well, what happens when you play a league match on your Saturday or Sunday? He says, oh yeah, we use goalposts then, but when they're training, for some reason the Coronavirus Act tells them that they can't use, not the Coronavirus Act, sorry, the regulations coming from the football association, that they stipulate that they can't use goalposts. I don't know if the coronavirus will avoid them if they kick balls into nets. It didn't make any sense to him. It didn't make any sense to me. It probably doesn't make any sense to you. That's because it makes no sense. Now the last one is like I was speaking to a student who's up at Oxford University, and they were saying that there's been real pressure put on them to comply with a letter that's gone around. They have to sign to say that they're going to comply with everything. They don't want to wear a mask, and so they're being told that in fact, they said they were exempt from wearing a mask, and they were told that in that case they would not be able to have any of their regular face-to-face tuition, and they would have to do it all online. So all the mask wearers get to have face-to-face tuition, and if you're exempt, you have to do it, because they can't let one of the little ants stand up, because if one of them stands up, then they recognize that they all might stand up, like in that Bug's Life quote. If you've not seen that, check that out. Maybe I'll put it in the box for you. But yeah, here we are. It's looking a bit sort of autumnal and rainy. They say it never rains in Southern California, but it certainly does here. We've got a nice little gazebo, and it seems to attract a bit of attention because it's a bit more substantial. And we also had a guy who's joined us who was hammering away on a megaphone, so maybe that did it as well. But anyway, here we are in mask-wearing Oxford, Bond Square, night time, Saturday, what is it, 3rd of October? Take care everyone, bye bye.